Hey guys, today in this video, I want to actually be able to share with you what I actually learned from Sagal, right? So Ajay is the CEO of Nuvest Capital. He's also one of the founding members of GIC, which is Singapore's foreign sovereign wealth fund, right? So very simply, this man has been in charge of managing huge amounts of money in the hundreds of millions, billions of dollars. And I sat down with him yesterday to really dig his brains to actually find out what I should be doing in the current markets. And I took down a whole bunch of notes, and I know that you guys will benefit so much, right? So in this video, I'm going to do a 5-part segment on the different things that he actually told me, and hopefully you guys take some valuable insights away. The first thing which he shared with regards to the US elections, very simply, was this. So number one, let's talk about US elections. So from the way it's going, all right. So I'm recording this video on the 7th of November, and it's still undecided on who the president is, right? So many states got, the remaining counts have been flipped to Joe Biden, and it looks like we'll have a Democratic president. However, the Senate still belongs to the Republicans, which means that if this were to be the case, there will still be a gridlock for the next 4 years, right? So we have a Democratic president but a Republican Senate. So what does that mean? That means nothing will get done, right? That means they want to pass through policies, but what happens is the Senate will block it and stuff. So it's going to be a gridlock for the next 4 years. So what does this mean for the markets? This basically means 4 years of not getting anything done, and that basically means certainty. The market will love certainty, and that will cause the markets to go up, right? So this is exactly what he shared with me, which was very, very insightful, right? So that's number one. Number two, the next thing which he shared with me very simply was with regards to how he made a very, very big blunder, right? A very big blunder during March, right, where he was on the wrong side of the market. So when the entire market was crashing, what his indicator showed him was that it was a screaming buy, right? It was a screaming buy, but he decided to disregard his indicators very simply because he was like, oh, the indicators don't know that this is a pandemic, so I don't think so. We're not gonna get in. And that happened to be a very, very wrong move because he kept his money aside. He thought it was going to go down even more, and he ignored these indicators. And he said this is one of the most dangerous words in investing, which unfortunately he did not follow. And the words were, this time it's different. This time it's different. And he said that those were the words that really, really punished him, right? In the end of the day, it was a screaming buy, and he mentioned that he really wished that he really got in a lot earlier. He really only made the move to seriously enter, and he told his fund managers all that to get right back in, especially when the stimulus package was announced, right? And the stimulus package is when the Federal Reserves went crazy to pump in trillions of dollars in the economy. He said, "Hey man, there's only one way this can go, and that way is up." Right? And he did mention that regardless of whoever the president would be, whether it be Joe or whether it be Trump, one of the things that they want to get done is by the end of the year, right? This is in talks, but by the end of the year, they want to get the stimulus package approved, right? Another stimulus. And when another stimulus gets approved, you'll see the markets rally back up again tremendously, right? So again, for him, in the midterm, in the short term, he's still very, very bullish. So this is the next point. The next point which he actually talked about, and I hope you guys find this useful, right? The next point which he talked about very, very clearly, which I thought was incredibly insightful, was he talked about massive disruption. He talked about how everything is being disrupted. He talked about how fund management is being disrupted. He talked about how there right now it's a level playing field, even with retail investors and institutional investors. He mentioned and talked about a level playing field, right? He talked about how today you have commissions which are free, right? Companies don't even charge brokerages don't even charge commissions anymore. He talked about how information is so readily available. He mentioned about 20 years ago how these institutions used to have all this privileged information, but right now everybody has access to all this information. All it takes is a click of a button. right? So he mentioned that, and he talked about how it's a level playing field. It's not a lot different between retail investors and institutional investors. And in fact, he mentioned that now retail investors have a huge edge. Why? Because they don't have quotas to meet, right? They don't have for funds, right? They have to hit a certain KPI. Once the money comes in, they have to invest it, put it to work, right? Whereas in retail investors, the advantage that they have is they can choose to stay out, they can choose to wait for a good opportunity, they can choose to be patient. And he mentioned that that's one of the greatest advantages that a retail investor has, which is time, right? And not having to be forced by somebody else to move ahead, right? And he mentioned that that was one of the single greatest advantages the retail investor has, which is so true. All right. The next thing which he talked about, which he said cannot be ignored, and we need to really consider and study, is blockchain technology and even Bitcoin, right? Blockchain technology and Bitcoin, and he mentioned about how look at this entire space, look at what's happening, right? Look at what's happening. And with regards to even DBS, he mentioned that one of the most innovative banks, right, which is constantly trying to stay ahead, is DBS. He knows all the CEOs, and he mentioned, he spoke very well about Piyush Gupta, right, who is the CEO of DBS, and he mentioned about how they always try to stay ahead in terms of vision, right, to stay ahead. And if DBS themselves are trying to become this cryptocurrency powerhouse, right, to actually lead the entire innovation with regards to blockchain technology and accepting cryptocurrency, then that's something we really need to consider in terms of how it will all work out in terms of digital currency space, right? So we talked about that in detail, and then we talked about the indicators that he actually uses. And he mentioned that one of the key indicators that he actually uses, right? And there was something that he told me which I was like, very interesting, So I've been telling this to my community for a long time. But one of the things that he mentioned in detail was that he said in 2020, Resh, valuation is literally you can't even consider, you gotta put it aside, right? You gotta he mentioned this very clearly, and I was pleasantly surprised because I agree. Today, if you look at valuations, a lot of things doesn't make sense anymore. And he mentioned the same thing. He said, you can't even look at valuations, right? Because it will make you miss out on so many opportunities. And I was like, yes, right. So he mentioned that as much as valuation is important, it's become very secondary, right? It's not primary focus. He mentioned that, and he looks at a lot of technicals, in fact, right, to actually make decisions. So I asked him about some of the indicators that he uses, and he mentioned one indicator, and the one indicator he uses is the put call ratio, all right, which he actually uses to actually find out, hey, what's actually happening in the markets, what are investors actually doing. And he mentioned that in the last few weeks, he saw the number of puts increase, right? The number of people buying puts, buying puts in fear has increased tremendously. People are not looking at implied volatility, they're just loading up on puts on the SPY. And he mentioned that that's an indicator that he actually has been noticing in the current markets, right? So that's something which is very interesting. That I was like, wow, okay, cool, right? So the put call ratios, this is one thing that he actually looks at in detail, in depth. And I guess the final thing which I want to share with you guys is his heart's desire, right? His heart's desire. And the final note that I want to share with you all is, for so many years he's been helping you know rich individuals to be able to generate a lot more income for their portfolios. And one of his heart's desires, which which I resonate with so much, is to help the common man be able to invest safely, soundly, and profitably, right? And he wants to be able to impart his knowledge and be able to share as much as possible. And that's something that he wants to be able to do with the remaining of his time, to be able to share his knowledge, to be able to educate investors properly on how to assess companies to grow their portfolios, right? So what I want to share with you guys is hey, he would love to know what you would like to learn, right? So I'm just doing this video, and just comment down below, right? There's going to be two options. I'm going to give you all two options, A or B. A, would you guys like to learn about the economic indicators, right, or certain indicators that use, technical and economic indicators that he uses to actually find out when to get in or when to get out of the markets? You want to learn that? That's A. That's number one. And number two, he actually mentioned about would you love to learn about how he would analyze a particular company? Let's say, for example, he's looking at a particular stock. What is his process in looking at a company to actually find out whether it's a good investment to make or not? Right? So A or B. What do you want to learn, guys? I'm going to put it to a vote, A or B. Type it down in the comment section below. Let me know your answers, and I want to see the comment section flow. And if whatever has higher votes, we'll actually do that for you guys. All right. So again, guys, I hope you guys found this video useful. Give it a thumbs up right now. Click on the like button and make sure you subscribe to our channel. Thank you and peace out.